The night sky above the alien world was filled with two pale moons. Cold winds moved between the tall black trees, and strange insects sang their endless songs. The human explorer, Captain Reed, walked slowly through the forest, his boots pressed against the soft ground, and every step made a dull sound. He had been alone for days, searching for signs of life. Suddenly, his helmet receiver caught something unusual. A sound, not the growl of a beast, not the whisper of the wind. It was a voice, a child's voice. "Help me. Help my mom." Reed froze. His heart started to race. The voice was thin, full of fear and pain. He lifted his scanner, but the machine showed no signal, nothing. Still, the voice came again, clearer this time. "Human. Please, help my mother." Reed felt a chill in his bones. The word human struck him. Who was speaking? How did they know what he was? He had never met a living soul on this planet before. He turned slowly, searching the dark trees. The forest was heavy with shadows. Blue mist moved like ghosts between the branches. He could feel eyes watching him. His training told him to stay calm, to ignore strange calls. Many explorers had vanished because of tricks, because of alien traps. But this voice did not sound like a trap. It sounded desperate. Reed gripped his weapon, but did not fire. "Who's there?" he called. His voice echoed, empty in the cold night. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, a figure stepped out from behind the trees. It was small, no taller than a human child. Its skin glowed faintly green, like moonlight shining on water. Large eyes shimmered with tears. Thin arms shook as the little creature pointed deeper into the forest. "Please, my mom is hurt. She is trapped. She will die." Reed stared in shock. This was no human child. Had no hair, no nose, only smooth skin and delicate lines across its face. The eyes were wide, round, full of sorrow. It looked fragile, weak, helpless. His heart struggled. His mind told him, "Be careful. This is dangerous. Aliens can trick you." But his human side felt the pain in the child's voice. The creature trembled. Stepping closer, hunters caught her. The child whispered, "She cannot escape. You must help." Reed breathed slowly. "Why me?" he asked. His voice was steady, but his hand still held the weapon tight. The child's lips quivered. "Because you are human. Humans fight traps. Humans are brave. My mother told me so." For a moment, Reed was silent. His chest felt heavy. Somewhere deep inside, the words touched him. He remembered his own childhood, his own mother. Stories. She told him about courage, but still, fear remained. "If this is a trick," he said quietly, "I will not forgive you." The child shook its head, tears falling down its glowing cheeks. "No trick. Please, she cannot breathe much longer." Reed looked into the mist. The forest seemed to move, alive with danger. He could not see far, but the shadows looked darker, thicker, waiting for him to step inside. His instincts screamed against it, yet the cry of the child was stronger. He sighed, lowering his weapon just slightly. "Fine, show me." The child's eyes brightened with hope. It turned quickly and ran a few steps, then looked back to make sure Reed followed. Reed hesitated, taking one last glance at the safety of the open ground behind him. Then, with a heavy breath, he stepped into the mist. The forest closed around them like a prison. The air was damp and cold. Strange plants with glowing roots twisted near the ground. Small eyes blinked from the shadows. Reed's ears caught distant growls, the kind of sound predators make before they attack. Still, the child ran ahead, small feet light on the forest floor. Reed followed carefully, every sense alert. He could feel danger all around. Yet the cry of the child kept pulling him deeper. After several minutes, They stopped. The child pointed into the distance. There she is there. Reed squinted. The mist shifted slowly, and for just a second, he saw a huge dark shape lying low in the clearing. Something large, trapped, breathing heavily. A low moan echoed, deep and painful. The human's heart pounded hard. This was no ordinary discovery. Something was waiting in the shadows. Something powerful, something dangerous. But the child whispered again, voice breaking with fear. Please, human, save my mom before they return. Reed gripped his weapon, his mind torn between fear and duty. He had walked into the unknown, and now the unknown was staring back at him. The night was silent again. Silent except for the cry of a child, and the heavy breath of something dying in the darkness. And Reed knew his choice here would change everything. Captain Reed stood in the misty forest, his heart beating like a drum. The alien child looked at him with wide, glowing eyes, waiting. Behind the fog, the shape of the trapped mother rose and fell. Her breath weak, heavy, and broken. Reed's mind was a battlefield. His training repeated inside his head. Do not trust. Alien cries. Do not interfere. Observe only. Stay alive. That was the rule of every human explorer. But now in front of him, the rule felt like a chain pulling him in two directions. He studied the child. Thin arms hugged its small body, as if the cold could swallow it whole. Its voice shook when it whispered again, she will die soon. The hunters will come back. Please, human. Reed felt his grip tighten on the weapon in his hand. His finger brushed against the trigger. What if this was a trap? What if the hunters had set this child here as bait? Many explorers had died because of mercy. Mercy out here was weakness. And yet, the child's tears did not look like lies. They looked real, heavy, painful. Reed knew the sound of true fear. He had heard it once before, long ago, when he was young and helpless himself. He remembered a day from his past. On Earth, a storm had destroyed the roof of his family's home. He was trapped under the wood, unable to move, unable to breathe. He had cried for help, and someone had come. His mother. She had pulled him out, her arms shaking, her face covered in blood. But she had saved him. Reed's chest tightened. That memory struck deep. The child's voice cut through again. Human, you are strong. Humans fight. That's what my mother said. Reed stepped back, uneasy. Why would your mother trust humans? The child blinked, confused. Because long ago, humans fought the hunters too. My mother remembers. She told me humans never leave the weak behind. Reed swallowed. Was this true, or just a story? He could not tell, but one thing was clear. The hunters were real. Snare was real. And the mother's pain was real. Still, he needed to be sure. If I help you, the hunters will chase me, he said firmly. Do you understand? I could die. The child nodded slowly. Yes. But if you don't, she will die. Silence fell between them. The forest around them seemed to hold its breath. Every shadow looked alive, every sound sharper than before. Reed felt the weight of the choice pressing down on him. He looked at the mist again. He saw the outline of the mother, larger now as his eyes adjusted. She was trapped in glowing wires. Her skin burned and cut. Each breath came with a sound of pain. She was strong, powerful, but helpless in that cage. Reed clenched his teeth. He could walk away. He could turn back to the safety of the open land and pretend he never heard the cry. That would be the smart thing to do. But his legs did not move. His heart would not let him. Finally, he lowered his weapon. Fine, he said, his voice low but steady. Take me to her. But if this is a trick, You won't like what happens next." The child's face lit up with sudden hope. "Thank you, human. Thank you." "Quiet," Reed ordered sharply, raising his hand. "If the hunters hear us, we're finished." The child nodded quickly, wiping its tears with trembling hands. Then it turned and began to lead him through the trees. The deeper they went, the darker the forest became. The air felt heavier, as if the mist itself was alive, pressing against Reed's skin. Strange plants glowed with dull red light. Long vines hung like snakes from the branches, brushing against his shoulders. Reed kept scanning the shadows. His nerves screamed with warning. The hunters could appear at any moment. His every step was careful, measured, ready for danger. The child, however, moved fast. Too fast. It kept glancing back, worried he would leave. "Slow down," Reed hissed. "I need to see where we're going." The child nodded again, though its eyes were full of panic. "We don't have much time." The hunters always return to check their traps. They find her alive. The words hung heavy in the air. Rhett did not ask what would happen. He already knew. Hunters never leave survivors. They walked for what felt like hours, but could have been minutes. Time in the mist was strange, stretched and twisted. Every sound echoed twice. Reed heard whispers, but when he turned, there was nothing. The forest was playing with him, testing him. Finally, the child stopped. It raised a hand and pointed. "There," it whispered. Through the mist, Reed saw the truth. The alien mother was massive, her body like a mountain of silver skin and deep scars. Wires dug into her flesh, glowing with cruel light. Blood thick and dark dripped slowly onto the ground. Her chest rose weakly, each breath weaker than the last. Reed's eyes narrowed. It was worse than he thought. Much worse. The child ran forward a few steps, but froze, afraid to touch the wires. It turned back to Reed, pleading, "Please, human. Only you can break it. Please." Reed stepped closer. The trap hummed with strange energy. It wasn't made by nature. It wasn't random. This was the work of hunters clever, cruel, and patient. As he studied the wires, a cold fear wrapped around his chest. He knew one thing for certain. Once he touched this trap, there would be no turning back. The hunters would come for him. They would not forgive. And yet, his decision was already made. He had chosen the moment he stepped into the mist. He raised his weapon, his voice steady. "Stay behind me. If they come, we fight." The child's eyes widened, but it nodded, standing close. Reed took a deep breath. The time for choice was over. The time for action had begun. The forest was not silent anymore. As Captain Reed stepped closer to the glowing snare, the alien jungle seemed to awaken. Branches creaked, though no wind blew. Strange calls echoed from high above, low and haunting, as if the trees themselves warned him to leave. Reed scanned the area with sharp eyes. His hand never left the grip of his weapon. The alien child stood close, its glowing skin trembling faintly. Fear showing in every breath. "She is weak," the child whispered, pointing at the massive figure trapped in the glowing wires. "But she will live, if we hurry." Reed nodded, but did not move yet. His instincts screamed at him. Something was wrong. The forest was alive, but not with ordinary life. He felt its a sense of being watched. Too many eyes hidden in the mist. "Quiet," Reed said softly. "No sound unless I say." The child nodded, clamping its small mouth shut. Reed crouched, examining the glowing wires that cut into the alien mother's silver flesh. The wires pulsed with a dim light, like veins pumping poison. Every pulse burned her skin deeper. Each moan from her throat was heavy, weak, and filled with pain. But before Reed could act, he froze. Leaves shifted above. Not from wind, something moved. Slow, heavy. Watching, he raised his weapon toward the trees. Nothing there. Only shadows. Only mist. Then he heard it. Crack. A branch snapped far away. Another echo. Closer this time. Then silence again. The hunters, he knew it in his bones. They were near. Reed's jaw tightened. He motioned for the child to move behind him. The creature obeyed quickly, clutching his arm as though he were its last hope. "Hunters are close," Reed whispered. "We can't stay long." The child shook its head wildly. "If we leave her, she will die." Reed looked at the mother again. The wires cut deep, glowing brighter with each passing second. She did not have long. If he wasted time, her breath would end before the hunters even returned. He cursed under his breath. "Then we stay." "But stay ready," the forest answered. With another sound, a low growl, not far from them. Something moved between the trees. Something big. Reed shifted position, back against the mother's trapped body, weapon raised. His eyes scanned every shadow. The jungle grew thicker around him. The plants seemed to lean closer, vines dangling like waiting hands. Strange flowers opened in the dark, releasing faint sparks of light, as if curious about the human intruder. The child tugged his sleeve, pointing down at the ground. Reed followed its gesture and saw the dirt near the trap. Footprints, large ones. Too many. The hunters had been here recently, perhaps only hours ago. They would not be far. Reed crouched. Lower, touching the soil. Still warm, his chest tightened. They're circling back. He leaned toward the child. They're near. If they come, don't move. Don't make a sound. The child's glowing eyes widened. "But you." "I'll handle it," Reed said, coldly. His voice was steady, though his blood boiled with tension. Before the child could reply, a loud shriek split the air. Not human, not animal. Something alien and cruel. It echoed through the forest, shaking the mist like a drumbeat. The child grabbed Reed's hand in terror. They're calling. They know. Reed's teeth clenched. The hunters were not just close, they were already searching. He pressed his free hand against the glowing wires, testing them. Pain shot through his arm instantly, a burning sting that spread like fire. He pulled back with a sharp breath. The trap was more than metal. It was alive with energy, designed to wound and kill anything that touched it. The child whispered urgently, "Can you break it?" Reed shook his head. "Not with my hands. I need to think." The alien mother groaned, her breath shallow. Each sound from her chest was weaker than the last. Time was running out. Reed's mind raced. He had to choose. Free her quickly and risk. Drawing the hunters, or wait and fight them first. But risk the mother's death. The jungle decided for him. Branches shook violently above. From the mist, two glowing eyes appeared. Then another pair. Then more. Shapes moved silently through the trees, huge and armored. Their weapons glowed faintly, dripping light like fire. Reed raised his weapon instantly. His muscles tensed, finger. Near the trigger, the hunters were here. The child whimpered behind him, pressing its small body against his leg. Reed stood tall, keeping himself between the hunters and the child. One of the glowing shapes stepped forward, still half hidden in fog. A deep laugh echoed. A voice, cold and sharp, filled the air. "You touch the snare. Human, you die." Reed's eyes narrowed, but his weapon did not lower. His mind sharpened. This was no longer about rules or training. This was survival behind him. The alien mother gasped, her breath failing. The child's grip tightened in panic. The jungle held its breath, waiting for the first move. Reed's finger curled. Against the trigger, he had entered the jungle of danger, and there was no turning back. The mist wrapped around Captain Reed like a cold blanket. His weapon was raised, his body tense. The hunter's glowing eyes stared at him through the trees, moving slowly, circling like predators behind him. The alien mother groaned again. Her silver body shivered, the glowing wires cutting deeper into her flesh. Sparks flickered from the trap, humming with cruel energy. Each pulse burned her skin and drained her life. The child clung to Reed's arm, voice trembling. "Please, human." She cannot wait. Reed's jaw tightened, like he wanted to act, to cut her free, but the hunters were too close. If he moved carelessly, he would be dead before he could even touch the wires. From the shadows, the leader of the hunters stepped forward. His armor was black, carved with strange symbols. His tall body shimmered with scales that caught the dim light of the moons. In his hand, he carried a spear that glowed with red fire. His voice was deep, cruel, and certain. "This prey is ours. The snare belongs to us. Leave now, human, and we may let you live." Reed said nothing. His weapon stayed steady, his eyes locked on the leader. He did not trust words from hunters. Predators never bargain in good faith. The leader's laughter echoed, cold and sharp. "You stand between us and our kill. Foolish creature. Humans are weak, humans are prey too." Reed felt his blood boil, but he forced himself to stay calm. Fear was a weapon. If he showed weakness, they would strike. Behind him, the alien mother's breathing grew weaker. Her chest rose slowly, then fell with a shudder. She was slipping away. Reed whispered to the child, his voice low. "Stay behind me. Don't move." The child nodded quickly, hiding its small body against the trees. Its glowing eyes never left its mother, filled with helpless fear. Reed studied the snare again. The wires were not ordinary metal. They were alive with some kind of energy, humming like a heartbeat. The glowing lines wrapped around the mother's arms, legs, and neck. Every time she moved, the wires tightened, biting into her skin. If he touched them directly, the energy would burn him alive. He had already felt the sting before, but maybe there was another way. The hunters moved closer, their shapes clearer now. There were 4 of them. Huge bodies, taller than Reed by 2 heads. Their weapons glowed in the mist. They moved with slow confidence, like wolves circling their prey. The leader raised his spear, pointing it at Reed. "Step away. You cannot break the trap. You will only die with it." Reed smirked, though inside his chest, his heart hammered like thunder. "We'll see." The hunters growled, spreading wider, surrounding the clearing. Their heavy steps shook the ground. Reed's eyes darted back to the snare. He noticed something: small devices planted in the dirt around the wires. Power nodes. That's what kept the energy alive. If he destroyed them, maybe the trap would fall. But could he do it fast enough? The mother moaned again, weaker now, her body trembling. The child cried out softly, unable to stay silent. "Human, please, save her." The sound made the hunters laugh. "Look at this." The human protects the prey's child. Soft, weak. It will die first. Reed's finger tightened on the trigger. His weapon hummed. Ready? He knew the fight would start any second. He could not waste more time. He crouched low, scanning the ground for the nearest power node. He spotted it half buried under roots, glowing faintly blue. If he shot it, the energy might break. But the sound would also bring the hunters charging. The leader tilted his head, amused by Reed's hesitation. "Decide, human. Run or die." Reed's lips curved into a hard smile. "Neither." Then he fired the shot, hit the power node dead center. Sparks exploded, blue lights scattering across the ground. The wires on the alien mother's arm flickered, weakening for a moment. The hunters roared in anger. He dares. They charged. Reed spun, firing again at another node. The second one shattered, and more wires loosened around the mother's chest. She gasped, her breath a little stronger, but still trapped. The child screamed, "Faster. Please." Reed moved with sharp focus, rolling to avoid the hunter's weapons as they struck the ground with glowing fire. The forest floor shook, trees splitting under their strength. He kept shooting, destroying one node after another. Each time, the wires grew weaker, the trap losing its hold. But the hunters were close now, too close. One of them swung its burning blade, nearly cutting Reed's arm. He stumbled back, breathing hard, sweat dripping under his helmet. The leader raised his spear, aiming straight for Reed's chest. "This is the end, human." Reed braced himself, weapon raised. But before the spear struck, the mother's roar split the air. The trap weakened enough for her to move. Her arm tore free from the wires with a violent snap. The ground shook as her massive hand slammed into the dirt, scattering dust and energy sparks. The hunters froze for a second, startled. Reed's eyes widened. The mother was not finished. Not yet. The child cried out with joy. "She's alive. She's fighting." Reed's heart pounded. The trap was not broken fully, but the balance had shifted. The hunters had lost their calm. Now the real fight was about to begin. The clearing shook under the sound of armored feet. The hunters had finally stepped into full view. No longer shadows, but towering beasts of flesh and steel. Their black armor gleamed with sharp edges, glowing red lines running across it like veins of fire. Each carried a weapon, spears, blades, and guns that hummed with energy. Captain Reed kept his back against the half-freed alien mother. His weapon was ready, but his chest tightened. For hunters, all larger, faster, stronger than him. His human body was small compared to theirs. But his spirit was not. The leader raised his burning spear and snarled, "The prey belongs to us. Human, you are nothing. Step aside or be crushed." Reed smirked, though sweat ran down his face. "Funny, I was about to say the same thing." The hunters roared, their laughter cruel and echoing. Then they charged. Reed moved first. He fired. At the third power node, sparks flying as it exploded. More of the glowing wires snapped, loosening around the alien mother's leg. She roared, her strength returning piece by piece. One hunter swung its blade down at Reed. He rolled aside, dirt exploding under the strike. He fired again, aiming at the creature's chest. The shot bounced off the armor, leaving only a scorch. "Mark." "Too weak," the hunter growled, lifting its weapon for another strike. Reed's mind raced. He could not fight them head-on. He had to be faster, smarter. He spotted a vine above, thick and heavy. With a sharp aim, he shot it. The vine snapped and dropped across the hunter's face, blinding it for a moment. Reed dashed toward another node, sliding across the dirt. His weapon fired, and the fourth node burst apart in a storm of sparks. The wires around the mother's neck flickered, loosening slightly. The leader snarled, fury shaking his voice. "Kill him, now." Two hunters lunged at once. Reed barely managed to duck as their glowing blades crossed above his head, striking each other with a shower of sparks. He rolled between their legs, firing shots at the ground near their feet. The dirt erupted, blinding them with dust. Behind him, the alien mother ripped another wire from her arm, her massive claws free at last. Her silver skin bled, but her roar was strong, shaking the trees. The child screamed with joy. She's breaking free. The leader turned, eyes glowing with rage. He leaped toward the mother, spear raised. But Reed stepped in his path, blocking the strike with his weapon's barrel. The impact threw him back, pain burning through his arms. The leader snarled in his face. "You fight like prey. Weak, small, you cannot win." Reed spat blood from his lip and smiled. Small doesn't mean weak. He pulled a grenade from his belt, slamming it against the hunter's chest. The explosion rocked the clearing, flames bursting across the leader's armor. The hunter staggered back, growling in anger, but not falling. Reed coughed, lungs burning, ears ringing. He had bought only a few seconds. The other hunters regrouped, closing in again. Their heavy steps shook the earth. They circled him like wolves, their weapons glowing brighter, ready to kill. Reed glanced behind him. The alien mother had freed one arm, one leg, and her neck was almost loose. But the last wires still held her down. He had to buy her more time. He stood tall, raising his weapon again, even though his hands shook. His eyes narrowed. "Come on then. Let's finish this." The hunters roared and attacked together. Reed moved like lightning, ducking, rolling. Firing, his shots hit weak points, gaps in armor, joints in the knees, slits near the shoulders. The hunters grunted, surprised at his precision. One stumbled, another dropped its blade. But still, they kept coming. Their strength was endless. Reed's arms ached, his weapon grew hot. Sweat blinded his eyes. He was running out of breath. Then, it happened. The alien mother tore the last wire from her body. With a roar that shook the jungle, she stood tall and free. Her silver skin glowed under the twin moons, her eyes burning with fury. The hunters froze for a moment, their confidence cracking. The child screamed in triumph, "Mother, you are free." The mother's voice rumbled like thunder. "Hunters, your trap has failed." Her massive arm swung, striking one hunter so hard it flew into the trees, armor shattering. Another tried to stab her with a spear, but she crushed it in her claws, snapping the weapon like a twig. The ground trembled as she moved. Each strike filled with power and rage. Reed fell back, watching in awe. For the first time, he was not alone. He had an Alaya giant, unstoppable force. The leader growled, smoke still rising from his damaged armor. His red eyes burned with hate. He pointed his spear at Reed. "This is not over, human. We will hunt you. We will hunt all of you." Then, with a sharp whistle, the hunters retreated into the mist, vanishing as quickly as they came. The clearing grew silent, except for the heavy breathing of the freed mother. Reed lowered his weapon slowly. His body ached, his heart still pounded. But he was alive. He had survived the hunter's arrival. The child ran to its mother, hugging her massive arm. Tears of joy sparkled in its glowing eyes. Reed let out a long breath. For now, the battle was won. But deep in his gut, he knew it was only the beginning. The hunters would return. And next time, they would not make the same mistake. The jungle had fallen silent, but only for a moment. The hunters had vanished into the mist, yet their presence lingered in the air like a storm waiting to strike again. The alien mother stood tall, her wounds bleeding silver light, her breath heavy but strong. The child clung to her side, glowing eyes filled with relief. Captain Reed lowered his weapon but did not relax. He knew hunters did not give up. They retreated only to strike harder, faster, and smarter. The mother looked down at him, her voice deep and powerful. "Human, you chose to fight for us. You risked your life against the hunters. Why?" Reed wiped the sweat from his brow, his chest rising and falling fast. His voice was rough but steady. "Because no one deserves to die in a cage. Not on my watch." The child looked at him with awe. "My mother said humans are strong. Now, I see it." But before Reed could respond, a sharp sound echoed through the forest. A whistle. High, piercing, Reed's blood ran cold. He recognized it. The hunter's signal. "They're not done," he muttered. The ground trembled as heavy steps approached again. From the mist, more shapes appeared, bigger this time. 6 hunters, their armor glowing brighter, weapons sharp with fire and crackling energy. Their leader returned too, his armor scarred from the grenade blast, but his eyes burning with fury. "You think you won, human," he growled. "You think spirit saves you? Spirit breaks. Flesh breaks. You will break." Reed lifted his weapon, though he knew he was outnumbered. He had little ammo left, no grenades, and his body ached from the fight. Still, he stood tall, refusing to step back. The mother growled, ready to fight, but Reed raised his hand. "Wait, this is my fight too." The leader sneered. "Your fight. You are nothing. A weak little creature playing hero." Reed's eyes narrowed. "Maybe, but I don't run. That's the difference." The hunters roared and charged. Reed moved with speed, born of desperation. He fired at their legs, forcing them to stumble. He grabbed a sharp stone from the ground and hurled it at another's faceplate, cracking the visor. The hunter growled. In rage, one swung a massive blade down at him. Reed dodged, grabbing a broken vine from the trees. He wrapped it around the blade's handle, pulling with all his strength. The hunter lost balance, and Red kicked its knee. Forcing it down, another hunter aimed its glowing gun, but Red dove behind a fallen tree. The shot exploded against the trunk, sending shards of wood flying. Reed crawled low, rolling out and firing back into the hunter's exposed chest joint. The shot pierced through, making the giant stumble backward. The leader rushed forward, spear aimed at Reed's heart. Reed blocked with his weapon, sparks flying. The impact threw him down, but he kicked dirt into the leader's eyes, buying himself a heartbeat of time. His body screamed with pain. He was slower, weaker, smaller. Every strike shook his bones. His lungs burned with smoke and dust. Yet he kept fighting because he was human, because he refused to quit. The mother roared and struck one hunter away. But her strength was fading from blood loss. Reed knew she couldn't hold much longer. It had to be him. He grabbed a fallen hunter's weapon, a glowing blade, heavy and strange in his hands. He raised it just as another hunter swung down at him. Their blades clashed, sparks lighting the mist. Reed shouted with raw anger, forcing the blade forward. His strength was not enough alone, but his will pushed him past the limit. With one final strike, he drove the alien weapon into the hunter's chest. The creature screamed and fell, armor cracking. The leader growled, fury rising. Impossible. No human has ever bested us. Reed wiped blood from his mouth, his body shaking, but his eyes were fire. That's because you don't understand. We're not strong because of size. We're strong because we don't stop. The leader charged. Again, their weapons clashing in a storm of sparks. Reed ducked low, grabbed a rock, and slammed it against the leader's knee joint. The armor cracked. The hunter staggered, with a roar. Reed drove the glowing blade upward, piercing through the weak spot in the leader's armor. The hunter screamed in shock and fury, collapsing. To the ground, the other hunters froze, staring at their fallen leader. The jungle was silent except for the sound of Reed's heavy breathing. He stood, barely on his feet, the glowing blade still in his hand. His face was bloodied, his body bruised, but his spirit unbroken. He pointed the blade at the remaining hunters. "You want me? Come and take me." For the first time, the hunters hesitated. Their glowing eyes flickered with something Reed had never seen in them before. Not rage, not hunger, fear. They stepped back slowly, then vanished into the mist, leaving their fallen leader behind. Reed dropped the blade, his body giving out. He fell to his knees, gasping for breath. The child ran to him, wrapping small arms around him. You are not weak," the child whispered, tears shining. The mother lowered her head, her voice soft but strong. "Human, you carry a spirit, stronger than any hunter, stronger than fear, stronger than pain." Reed managed a weak smile. That's what it means, to be human. And though his body was broken, his spirit stood tall, brighter than any weapon. The clearing was quiet. Again. Silent, except for the soft crackle of broken wires and the heavy breathing of those who survived. The hunters were gone, their leader lying lifeless in the dirt. The mist curled slowly back into the trees, as if the jungle itself was finally at peace. Captain Reed knelt on the ground, his body trembling with exhaustion. His uniform was torn, his face smeared with blood and dust. Every muscle screamed with pain. Yet his eyes burned with something brighter than fear. Victory, the alien. Mother lowered herself, her massive silver body casting a shadow over him. Her wounds glowed faintly where the wires had burned her flesh, but her strength was returning. She studied Reed with deep, ancient eyes, filled with both sorrow and gratitude. "You risked everything," she said, her voice rumbling like distant thunder. "You fought not for yourself, but for us. Why would a human do this?" Reed coughed, spitting blood into the dirt. His voice was tired but steady. "Because no one should die trapped. Not while I'm here." The child ran to him, glowing hands pressing against his arm. Its tears sparkled in the moonlight. "You saved my mother. You saved me. You are our hero." Reed gave a weak smile. "Hero's a big word, kid. I just didn't quit." The mother lowered her head closer, her silver eyes shining. "No, human. You carry something rare, a spirit that refuses to break. The hunters, they fear it. That is why they left." Reed pushed himself to stand, swaying slightly but refusing to fall. He looked at the body of the fallen hunter leader. Even in death, its red eyes still glowed faintly. A reminder of the danger that remained. "They'll be back," Reed said quietly. "Hunters don't stop. Not for prey. Not for revenge. Next time, they'll bring more." The mother's expression grew grim. Yes, they will not forgive this loss. Their pride is wounded. They will hunt harder, stronger. And not only us. Reed frowned. "What do you mean?" The mother's gaze turned to the stars above, where two moons glowed pale and cold. The hunters spread across worlds. They learn of you. If they learn of humans, they will come for Earth. They will come for all your kind. Reed's stomach sank. He had faced death before, but the thought of the hunters turning their gaze on humanity filled him with cold dread. Earth was strong, yes, but would it be ready for this? The child clung tighter to his arm. "Then we must fight together, humans and us. My mother says bonds are stronger than blades." Reed looked at the child, then at the towering mother. Slowly. He nodded. "Maybe that's the only way. Together." The mother's deep voice carried both weight and hope. "You are not prey, human. You are more than you know. And soon, the galaxy will see it too." For a moment, silence settled between them, a bond forming stronger than words. Human and alien, united by survival, by the fire of courage. But the jungle was not done with its warnings. A low rumble echoed through the ground, far away but growing closer. The mist shifted unnaturally, as if stirred by unseen forces. The air grew colder. Reed tightened his grip on his weapon. What now? Them. Mother raised her head, listening. Her silver eyes darkened. The hunters call others. They will not accept defeat. Their warships will come. This was only the beginning. Reed's chest tightened. He had already fought beyond his limits, and yet the storm was only just rising. Still, when he looked at the child's hopeful eyes, he knew there was no turning back. He wiped blood from his mouth, straightened his shoulders, and stood tall against the mist. Then let them come. They want to fight. They'll see what. Humans are made of the mother's lips, curved into something close to a smile. Yes, they will learn. And when they do, the hunters will fear not just me, not just you, but the bond we share. The child pointed to the sky, where distant lights flickered faintly among the stars. Too faint for normal eyes, but Reed saw them through his helmet scanner. Ships, dozens, maybe more. His breath caught. The war was already on its way. The mother's voice carried the weight of destiny. Human, you saved us tonight. But tomorrow, the galaxy will need you. Reed tightened his fists. His body was weak, but his spirit roared inside him. Hurt he was. Just one man, one human, but he knew the truth now. Humans were not prey. They were survivors, fighters, builders of hope, and in the heart of the jungle. Under two pale moons, a new bond was born, one that would shake the future. The child whispered, holding Reed's hand tight. Together, we can win. Reed's eyes narrowed as he stared at the glowing lights of the hunter's fleet rising in the sky. Yeah, he muttered. Together, the mist thickened, the ground trembled, and the stars above glimmered like the eyes of 1,000 watching hunters. The fight was far from over. It had only just begun.